May I take your order? Would you like some carrots, kamote, or corn? How about ampalaya, upo, or squash? These are some of the best ingredients nature can provide us if we want to have a healthy body or an even healthier environment. We all know that leaves play a big part in reducing greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. What we don't realize is that trees store carbon dioxide in their roots and stems too. And these useful plant organs are the ones that we often only regard as food. So today, Dr. Josetti Bio, the award-winning biology teacher to whom Planet Bio was named after, will teach us the all-important functions of roots and stems.
Hi K-Hubbers! Hi Teacher Abby! Our lesson for today is on plant organs, specifically on the roots and stems. Look at this plant. Focus on the roots. What have you seen?
The first plant has a single large main root with smaller lateral roots connected to the sides. On the other hand, this plant has fibrous and thread-like roots attached to the base of the stem.
There are two types of root system in plants. This is an example of a taproot system, and this one is an example of a fibrous root system. There are two types of root systems in plants. The first plant has a taproot system. The taproot system consists of a single main root that grows vertically and produces smaller lateral roots. The second root system is the fibrous root system. The fibrous root system consists of several long and slender roots with numerous thread-like roots that branch from the main roots. The taproot system penetrates deep into the soil and provides firmer hold of the soil. In fact, all of the trees growing here in this forest have a taproot system. Taproots are found in dicot plants. Fibrous root system is concentrated only in the upper few centimeters of the soil. Monocots like rice, corn, and grasses have fibrous roots. We all know that the roots perform very important functions for the plants. Can you cite some of these functions?
Ma'am, roots anchor the plant to the soil.
Roots also absorb water and nutrients from the soil and conduct these to and from the shoot.
Roots can also grow fruits like carrots and kamote.
You are wrong, Lorenzo. The carrots and the kamote that you eat are not fruits, but are roots themselves. Let us examine the parts of the roots so that we will be able to understand how this plant organ performs all these functions for the plants. The root cap protects the apical meristem from being scraped off as the root pushes down the soil. Root cap cells have thick cell walls and secrete a slimy lubricant that helps the root penetrate into the soil particles. At about 0.5 to 1.5 millimeters from the root tip is the meristematic region of the root, which consists of actively dividing cells. On the average, cells in the meristematic region divide every 12 to 36 hours, producing about 20,000 new cells that account for the increase in the length of the roots. The epidermis is the outermost surface layer of the cell that covers and protects the inner tissues of the root except the root cap. The epidermis helps absorb water and dissolve minerals from the soil. If you get a cross-section of a root, you will observe that the cortex occupies most of the inside of the root. It is made up of two different regions, an outer mass of large parenchyma cells beneath the epidermis, and a layer of smaller, close-fitting cells that form a ring around the vascular cylinder called the endodermis. Sugars produced by photosynthesis in the shoot are transported down to the parenchyma cells of the cortex and are converted to starch and stored. These cells are abundant in the storage roots of kamote, carrots, and cassava. The endodermis is the innermost layer of the cortex that forms a ring around the vascular cylinder. The cell walls of the endodermis are lined with a waxy substance forming the Casparian strip. This layer prevents the outward movement of water from the inner tissues of the endodermis. The pericycle is the inner layer of cells next to the endodermis. The pericycle is made up of actively dividing cells which give rise to the branched roots, which force their way out of the cortex and the epidermis. Next to the pericycle are the vascular tissues, the phloem, and the xylem tissues, which conduct water and dissolved substances within the plant.
Wow, the roots are as organized in structure and function, just like the leaves.
Ma'am, do roots have any other function aside from support, absorption, and storage of food?
Some roots have specialized functions. These are called the modified roots or the specialized roots. Examples of these modified roots are: the storage roots are large and fleshy underground roots that store large amount of starch or water. Plants with this type of roots are carrots, sugar beets, kamote, and cassava. Adventitious roots are roots that develop from the leaves or stems of plants. An example of this is the katakataka plant. Prop roots are outgrowths of the plant stem that mainly provide support. Prop roots can be found in corn, tanglad, sugarcane, and Chinese bamboo. Aerial roots are common among plants that grow in water with low oxygen. Mangroves produce aerial roots called pneumatophores, which allow the plants to breathe. Photosynthetic roots are typical of epiphytes or aerial plants. These roots contain chloroplasts and can photosynthesize. Now, let us examine another plant organ, the stem. Just like the roots, the stem has also very important functions for the plant. Can you name some of these functions?
The stem supports the leaves and the plant body.
Well, the stem transfers water and dissolved substances from the roots to the leaves and vice versa.
The stem also holds the buds, flowers, and fruits.
Look at this stem. It is composed of the following parts: the node, is the region of the stem where the leaves or lateral buds are located. The internode is the part of the stem between two nodes. The leaf scar are marks left by fallen leaves. And the buds are meristematic tissues that may result in growth in length of the plant or in the production of leaves or flowers. Buds may be classified as follows. Terminal bud if it is located at the tip of the stem. Lateral or axillary bud if it is located along the side of the stem. Flower bud if it produces a flower. And leaf or branch bud if a leaf or a branch is produced.
Ma'am, what do you find inside the stem?
That's a very good question, Ashley. A cross-section of a woody stem would show two main regions, the bark and the woody part. The bark is composed of the cork cambium, the cortex, and the phloem. The cork forms the outer part of the bark. In younger stems, this is formerly the epidermis. But as the stem increases in diameter, the epidermis can't expand to keep up with the circumference of the stem. The epidermis breaks off and dies. Some cells in the cortex develop into the cork cambium. The cork cambium is the lateral meristem composed of actively dividing cells which produce the cork cells. The cork cells form the outer exposed part of the bark. The cortex, found next to the cork cambium, stores nutrients. Next to the cortex are the phloem tissues, which transport organic nutrients produced during photosynthesis. Next to the bark is the woody part of the stem. The woody part of the stem are the xylem tissues. The wood that we use for making furnitures, houses, and many things.